Hey everybody, this is Chrissie. I'm here for ThermOWeb today. So I'm going to show you how to make this card. I know it's the holiday season and you were probably expecting some sort of a holiday card, but I wanted to do a birthday card because birthdays are still happening even though it's the holidays. So I am using a super cute stamp set from Avery Elle called You Bake Me So Happy. And I do want to tell you too that I do have some holiday tags at the very end of this video, so if you stick around, you'll see some tags that I did make. I just couldn't resist. So basically, whenever I'm going to stamp an image, I stamp multiple because I use my Misty stamping tool, and then that way I just have a bunch of stuff already ready to go, just in case in the future if I just want to like sit in color, or if I decide later I want to add it to the card or whatever. So this is the Mystic Rainbow Deco foil. I think it's so pretty, and I decided that I wanted that to be basically the colors I was going to use for my card. So I set that out, and then I picked a couple colored pencils. I'm using some Spectrum Noir color pencils here, and then I am just going to use the corresponding kit. It goes with it. So there's some blending solution, which sometimes is known as Gamasol, and then you have the paper stumps, and you have the sandpaper. So if you've never used the paper stumps before, you dip those in the Gamasol, which I will show you in just a little bit right there. And then when you need to change the color or make them a little sharper, you just use that sandpaper, and it takes all the color off, and it can make it a little more pointed, probably like a pencil, because you're just blending, you're not like truly coloring. But that is basically how you can use the blending solution with colored pencils. So I really do enjoy using colored pencils because they are softer than alcohol markers, just like I really enjoy watercoloring, kind of for the same reason. So really, I'm just kind of showing here, and I did speed it up super fast, but you just kind of add color, pick your light source, and then just kind of blend it as you go. So once that solution is laid down too, you can make your colors a little more saturated and darker. So then next, I knew I was going to do a shaker card. So what works out great is these adhesive transfers. I decided just to leave them as is the way they were on the sheet. So basically all you do is you cut out what you need, you peel off that clear backer, you stick them on your card base, and you put it inside your craft and carrier sheet, and you run it through your laminator. So what that does is that's going to activate the sticky. It's going to heat it up. So you've got some sticky on there. Now you're going to peel off this top portion there. Now it's there, it's hard to see, but it's definitely there. That is where you want to lay your foil down. Silver side down, just like you normally would when you're using any other type of foiling medium. So it does kind of gently stick on there, but it's not going to stick really hard. So because of that, you're going to need to repeat that same process. Put it in the carrier sheet, run it through the laminator again. Once it comes out, boom, you've got foil on there where before it was kind of clear. We have coordinating dies that go with this adhesive transfer, and there's even some stamps. Just for this particular thing, I knew that I wanted the background of the inside of my shaker card, so I just kind of left it as is. So I was just kind of laying it out there. I knew that this was going to be my window, so I just simply die cut it. It's just a plain circle die that I had. So I'm just going to go ahead and die cut that out. And then I'm going to decide here kind of how that window is going to go. Then I knew that for the front, I wanted it to say birthday, like the happy is in that window. So I'm doing the exact same process all over again. I'm cutting out the little birthday. I'm going to stick it on there, put it inside the carrier to activate it, then peel it off, and then put the foil back on. So you can see here, I'm doing that exact same process again. Kind of do some things off camera. On this side, I am a big proponent of using and reusing my foil as many times as I can. So once I peeled that off, I cut just a little piece of that Mystic Rainbow foil that I already had used, because I knew I wanted that pink kind of popped a little bit more, because I also did know that I was going to add some color to these card panels. They were just too bland, so they definitely needed something. So here I'm using a similar color palette. I'm using a yellow, kind of like a fuchsia, and then like a nice light tealish blue. So I'm just going here. I know you can use brushes. I am still kind of old school with these ink blending tools, but the brushes work just as well. And honestly, they probably do blend a little bit better. I do use both. I do have both. So you can see I'm just going here, and I started with the yellow on the bottom to make sure that nothing too dark covered up that birthday. So here I just also added a little bit of yellow to the inside. It just seemed too harsh being white. And now for the shaker part. So I just cut some, I have some heat resistant acetate. So you do not have to use this particular kind. This kind is kind of cool because if you do want to stamp on it and then like heat emboss, you can because you can use the heat tool and it won't warp. But honestly, you can use any type of acetate that you have. And then in here, you know, kind of playing around with it, I decided I wanted the other happy to show a little bit more. So I was like, you know what, I think I'm going to trim it down a little bit for the edges just to make it easier to deal with. You know, I didn't want the edges to be exact. And then once I did it, I was like, wait a minute. I am going to show the other happy more and kind of have like that ombre effect. So it went from no ink to darker ink. So I just gently marked it on the back and just kind of like haphazardly trimmed it because it did not need to be perfect. So now I've got the little happy that shows through a little bit better. The other ones were just a little too much like happy instead of happy. So I didn't like that as much. The smaller one fit a little bit better. These things happen, right? Sometimes you're just like kind of crafting and doing stuff on the fly. And whether it's an intentional mistake or a happy mistake or just something that you realize as you're working on it, go with it. So now here's the great thing. ThermOWeb, we have a couple different foils, or I'm sorry, adhesive, 3D adhesive foam that's on a roll. So there's an 1/8 inch one and a 16th inch one. This one that I use is not the exact one, but it's very similar to our 16th of an inch one. So it works out perfect. I remember back in the day before foil, or I keep saying foil, before foam was on a roll and you had to go in and try to like put all these 3D foam squares on it and stuff. This, you literally can just curl it to the shape of whatever your window is and it's done. So you saw I did add a little bit of anti-static on there. You can use like a chalk pouch too if you have it. And then I dumped in some of this like funfetti stuff I have, peeled everything off, and then just put the back on. Once the back was on, I just used my XL runner because I knew that was going to stick to the base of my card. So everything was stuck together and we have a shaker. Easy peasy. But you got to do the test, which I just did, and you can see some come out. So I realized there was a little portion up at the top, that there was a little hole on there. So I did have to go and cut another piece of foam, which was not a big deal. And I just kind of like stuck it in there. Now we do the test and it's perfect. No problems whatsoever. So the last piece of this was just me grabbing my 3D foam squares, which is what I used to use when I did shaker cards. I had like big ones and small ones. And these are perfect because I wanted those images to pop up just a little bit. So you can see there they are. And I promised you a shot of some tags I made for the holidays. So I did the same technique with the adhesive transfers for these tags. So thanks so much for stopping by, and I hope you have a great day.